Today, Marissa had an awesome idea to talk about 10 fuck it, book it trips that we've been on before. First, I didn't quite understand what you're talking about by fuck it, book it. So, Marissa, explain to our audience what you explained to me what fuck it, book it means.
Yes. So I feel like it's the new FOMO. I don't know. I came across this on Instagram. It was a random post that someone said. It was like the little title on it was like FIBI. And I was like, what is this? It was like, fuck it, book
More
it.
acronyms.
More acronyms.
Well.
Guys, you're hearing it here first. It's the new like YOLO FOMO. The next one is, would you say it like Phoebe? I don't know. It doesn't sound cool.
Doesn't roll off the tongue at all. That's no
Phoebe?
good.
I don't know. Well,
I don't like it. I don't like either one.
It doesn't sound good. We'll call it FIBI. It kind of looks like FBI. Phoebe. I don't know.
Phoebe.
Whatever it is. Phoebe. Right? Sometimes we said Phoebe. That's not cool. We're not starting anything. However, the idea of it was really fun. I think the person posting it, I don't even know if it was a digital nomad or not. It was someone I came across, but it was just like one of those trips where it's like, maybe it's spontaneous, maybe it costs more than it, you meant to be paying or wanted to pay for something, but it's just this cool experience. Maybe it's spur of the moment, a friend offers it, or it comes, some opportunity comes across and you're just like, you know what, like, fuck it, book it. And it just reminded me, like, so I can't count the number of times, especially in my prime digital nomad years where I was really like popping all over the globe, going everywhere, saying yes, moving countries quickly, where someone, would just be like, hey, let's go here. I'd be like, fuck it, book it, So it sounded fun. And we realized this is coming from a place of pure privilege to be able to do this, from having seeked out these digital nomad jobs, to work remotely, to have the freedom to bop around in this way. But it is the point. Like, we also worked really hard to set this lifestyle up for ourselves in a way where we can say yes to these opportunities. But anyway, I wrote it down immediately and I was like, Jeff, we got to do this episode because if you're listening to this, all nomads travel in different ways. And it might be that you're going to travel with 4 kids and have to plan a little more still. But as nomads, if I think about our community of digital nomad friends, this is really something a lot of us live by. And it's the whole point. To me, it really is the whole point. Is like when you get a remote job and you have this flexibility, you don't have the same 10 days of vacation tying you down each year. You maybe still, I don't know, maybe you've rented out your home or you got rid of your lease or whatever it is, and you have the freedom to go anywhere at any time. So Jeff and I were just each brainstorming a couple of our own ones. And I was like, I just listed 10 off really quick. And I was like, should I do like 100 more, Jeff? Like this just scratches the surface. I could think of so many more times that we did this. So these were just some of the first ones that come to mind. If you guys like this episode, we can do more of them. But I think you'll get a fun idea of what nomad life can be. So sometimes we do plan things. Sometimes we know in advance, hey, I'm going here. I'm probably going to be here this long. But we say our number one rule of digital nomad life is book a one-way ticket, because you want to leave your schedule open to be able to say, fuck it, book it. Or sometimes it's even just weekend trips from whatever country we're in. So most of mine are different countries. I said, like, fuck it, book it. Like, let's go. Got an invitation. All right, why not? Jeff's got some other like weekend trips as well. We'll mix them up. But I'm excited to chat about it. Any thoughts from you, Jeff, before we actually just jump into our locations?
I have no idea what you're going to say. I think you have an idea what I'm going to say with some of these, but I do like the point that you brought up that we aren't lucky that we were able to do these kind of things.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people think, oh, you're so lucky you did that. So yeah, it is fortunate that we can do these things, but we did like build up a lot of like skills, and we were very intentional about the way that we set up our professional lives so that we could do this. So we're not, again, if you listen to us, you know that we're not trust fund babies. We're just normal folks, fell out of the corporate world and kind of carved our own path. So yeah, we are fortunate that we can do this.
We fell out of the corporate world. We purposely left those corporate worlds.
Skydived out of the corporate world.
Left, jumped out. I don't know.
Maybe
we
both.
chose to leave it.
Building was on fire. It was not good. Anyways, yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that, so nobody thinks that we're just bopping around doing nothing to on Instagram, things like that. So
yeah, and these things are hard. Sometimes you have to plan. Like, we're still planning around our work week. So when you say fuck a book it, sometimes it's like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna book a 2 a.m. flight so I can get there by 9 a.m. for this 11 a.m. call I have, but I'm still gonna go. Like, there's all sorts of of funny things. So we're working as we go. We have intentionally made it our lives. Like I think Jeff and I, and probably if you're listening, like we really, really, really value freedom. It is one of my highest values. I don't know where this came from, but it is like strongly in me of like, I want the freedom to be able to stay home if I want, and to be able to, you know, say, fuck it, book it. I'm going, you know? So I love that. And I'm excited. I know some of yours. I'm excited to hear. And I hope I chose the right ones for myself. There's so many I couldn't choose, but I got some good ones for sure.
Yeah. All right.
You want to start? You go first. I want you to go first.
I'm gonna start with one I haven't done yet.
What do you mean you haven't done yet? Oh, you haven't gone yet.
I haven't gone yet.
You said fuck it, book it, but
I said fuck it, book it. And
Did you book
it's booked. Yeah, it's booked.
Oh,
yeah, the whole thing's booked. Yeah, paid for and booked. It's the chateau in France. So
nice.
In a
chateau
month
in
from
France.
now,
that sounds the most privileged.
I know. And then when you get this juxtaposition of all these animals partying in this, like, what's that show? The
animals. You mean people? Party animals.
No. We are animals. This group
you're the animals. That's what I thought. I just wanted to confirm. I was like, wait, are you like with some animals here? You are party animals. You are the animals.
We are the animals, but hopefully, yeah. So for those of you listening before, we've got these summer camps that a couple of our friends put on. It's a week-long thing in different locations where you get the accommodations, but also everything is like really scheduled and organized so that you can live like you're going to a camp as a kid, but as an adult, with the intention of just pulling you out of this work mindset and getting too serious about life and just learning how to play again. So during that week, you get put into groups of 4. So you're on a team essentially. And each day there's a whole new sets of challenges throughout the day. You've got like some physical challenges, some mental challenges. We do goose chase too. Goose chase is like, what do you call it? Like a scavenger hunt with all kinds of different challenges that you videotape different stuff and you go and find things like around the house. You're just playing like a kid basically. And throughout the week, you're having all kinds of fun events. Like last time there was a surprise band that showed up in the backyard. There was foam bow and arrow fights with like all these inflatable structures.
Things I've said, fuck it, book it.
There was
keep adding to my list.
Circus day with like popcorn machine and then jousting and like the mechanical bull and all of that. So we've got another one scheduled it's actually in a chateau, and it looks like from one of those period pieces in one of those shows you'd watch on HBO, you know, like where you'd see people in the 1800s, the Victorian era, walking around, not working and talking about gossip and stuff. But instead of that, it's going to be us there partying and playing games as children in this beautiful chateau in France. And I kind of wasn't going to go because it wasn't really in my plans. But looking at the pictures, it was like we're in a castle in France. So it's one of those moments where it's like, I have to make this work. I have to fuck it, book it, because how many opportunities am I going to have to go have a blast with a lot of my best friends in a castle in France that looks like it should be on TV. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'll report back on it, but I feel like it really fit the mood of this topic pretty well. So
it definitely does. And it's funny when you hear like, oh, we booked a castle, but when you have like, how many people will be at that? 20, 30, something like that?
20, 22 or something. So whatever it makes for teams of 4. So I think it's like 5 teams of 4 and then two camp counselors.
Amazing. But yeah, when you have it split by that many people like that, you can do fun, weird stuff like that. And ironically, I'm also debating, I haven't said fuck it, book it yet, but doing something similar in September. And also, I hate the castles, you know. I'm like, I would rather stay away from the castles, but it's like this castle.
They are haunted for sure. I think it's for sure haunted.
For sure. I will sleep outside on the grass. I think grounds are probably haunted too. But yeah, there's like one in the UK with Wi-Fi Tribe that it's like, I think it's 100 people and this similar sort of vibe with a moat. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for it yet. I'll see if I do a fuck it, book it. But yeah. That's a fun one for sure. And again, like you said, it's like, it's not in your plans. You don't have to do it. But sometimes these things that just come up where you're like, I got to do it. Do it.
It's just one of those life things where you just like, you would regret not doing it more than whatever it takes to make it happen. So it's one of those ones where like you fast forward 20 years, you look back in today's time and think, is this something I would regret not doing? And it is.
I love looking at it that way beyond just like, fuck it, book it in the present. It's like, if your future self looked back at that time, would you regret not doing it or doing it? And I know there's a lot to take into account of like, you know, you could say fuck a book to everything and then have no money left, you know? So there's a middle ground of doing it, but there's always ways to make it happen and to do things affordably or different ways. So I feel like Nomad life has taught us how to creatively be like, I will make this happen. And I don't know how, but it's happening.
Yep.
That's fun.
So what's your first one?
Okay, my first one was a trip to Myanmar when I said fuck a bucket. So I was newer to the long-term digital nomad travel. This was back in my early baby nomad days. And I had just spent my first 6 weeks in Bali. I had spent another 5 or 6 weeks in Thailand. And then I was meeting a friend from college who was going to come to the Philippines. But I think I had like a 6-day gap in between when I was like meant to leave Thailand and when I had to be in the Philippines. And so I feel like I've told this story before, but our friend Murray, who was with me in Thailand, we had just met, he was from South Africa. And I was like, Murray, will you go to, like, I really wanted to go to Myanmar. Thailand is like a neighboring country. I didn't want to go alone. I was still kind of like newer to travel. Were you going to ask a question?
Can I pause real quick? Is this the place that you show me the amazing pictures with the air balloons?
Yes.
Around? Oh, okay. We need to get people to look that up.
Yes. Look up Bagan. Look up, I'll name a couple of other places, like Inlay Lake was another one. But yeah, so I really wanted to go. Myanmar was somewhat like there was a genocide going on in some of like the bordering areas. Like you weren't supposed to travel by land. So it's like somewhat dangerous, I suppose. Some people thought. It felt very safe everywhere I went. But it was one of those where I really wanted to go and I didn't know how I was going to go, who was going to come with me. And I spent like several days convincing Murray. I was like, because it's one of those things, it wasn't necessarily cheap to book a last minute flight. I don't even remember what it cost. It wasn't super expensive. But anywhere you travel, like air travels to a different country, you have to book accommodations. You're moving quickly. It's different than just like staying put for another, week, which he was planning to do in Thailand before I think he flew to Bali. So I convinced him to go. It was one of those places when we arrived, when you get through customs, it was residents and then you have like foreign people coming in. We were the only people going through the foreign line. So already I was like, okay, this is different. But we planned everything super last minute. We're just like one day, I think we also had to make sure we could get a visa to get in. So I think it was several days before we were supposed to leave Thailand.
So
we're like applying online. It's not visa on arrival, but it's pretty much if you apply online, you should get it. But South Africa, you just like never know. They have a hard time getting visas in a lot of places.
One of the worst
so we
ones.
applied online. I think like we didn't hear back when we should have. Somehow followed up, got the visa, booked our flight. So very last minute decision. And everywhere we went was a super last minute booking of like, I just think about going there. It felt like we had 3 months of experience in like 6 days. Traveled all around. We like went hiking for 2 days through, like, slept in a monastery. There was one we went to this temple. This is a funny story. I don't know if I've told on the podcast, but it's a really funny one where we were in this temple that I was like, I'm going to sit here and meditate, Murray. Like, you go explore. And he found this guy who was a monk, and he was like, Marissa, he said they'd come do this blessing for us. And I was like, okay, I'm always down, like, fuck it. Look, let's do this experience. Why not? It was just like the temple was closing. It was like 10 p.m. So we go like into this weird little room with this monk, me and Murray, and he's speaking in a different, like in Burmese, I guess is the language I think that's the language I speak. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyways, like speaking this different language, this monk is just talking. And at the end he says, and now you will never get divorced. And we were like, did we just get married? Like, excuse me? It was a weird trip. Murray and I were not even together, just traveling as friends. So it was just a funny trip of like, even within the country,
I didn't know
we're
you're
like,
married to Murray. That's incredible.
We don't know if we're married, if we're never divorced. I don't know if I get married to anyone else. This is a lot of years ago, Jeff. I've been married a while now.
No
It
kidding.
was such a funny moment. We were just like, excuse me? But it was a funny trip of traveling like all over quickly and just super memorable. So it's one of my favorite ones. I chose it first because it was one of my favorite countries, one of my favorite experiences, and all because I was just like, you know what, fuck it, book it, like we're like, let's find a way to make it happen. It was so much fun.
Nice, good one.
What's next?
Yeah, so next one for me is I'm gonna go just outside Mexico City. We were staying in Mexico City and we were looking for a house to do LSD. All right. We're gonna have to put all do we have to do all our disclaimers at this point? I don't
Just
think
a quick one. A quick one.
Okay, quick one. Don't do LSD where it's illegal. Talk to your doctor first. We do not condone the use of illegal drugs. Okay, here we go. Done. So when we do these LSD trips, we curate it very, very nicely.
Trip for a trip.
It's literally trip and a trip. Trip and a trip, very meta. So we curate it very, very carefully. So we pick Airbnbs specifically so that we would have a nice view. It's away from what we call civilians, which are people not doing LSD and interacting with you. So you're off somewhere else. You've got like a really, really nice comfortable house where you can, watch TV afterwards, listen to good sound, all that kind of stuff. So we picked a place that was outside Mexico City, and it was on its own pond overlooking this beautiful pond with like a gate, like a wooden gate that goes all the way down to it, and then a bunch of trees behind it. And when I got there, I immediately got these nostalgic, this feels just like Northern California feel. Like it felt like home.
Weird.
It was so odd. It felt like home in Mexico. I felt like I was coming home. It was so odd. When you get to places and you're like, oh my God, in another life, this was a home. I've lived
Jeff,
here before.
you're recently talking about past lives and energy. I love
Dude,
this.
I am really getting in touch with my other
I never
energies and
was
body. And I'm growing.
You can't see my jaw is dropping. My jaw could be on the floor. It would.
I'm open and listening.
Tell me about the past lives. Yes. No, but I definitely do know that. I do know the feeling. Certainly do.
I had been there before. I didn't know. I just knew it immediately. And the place was just gorgeous. Sunset was coming down over the pond at night. And we set this up, and we obviously set up all the movies beforehand. We've got the playlist going. We've got food prepared, and it's just going to be this beautiful experience. And it absolutely was. Just looking out over this pond with the trees breathing in the background, with the music going and everything, and that fence going down to the pond, just kind of waving up and down. And it was very much just all right, we're in Mexico City. Let's do this. This place looks kind of interesting. And we get out there, and it absolutely blew us away. And it was one of those ones where, in Mexico, when you rent an Airbnb, every one of the places will say, sleeps 97 people. And it's like they're assuming three
beds
people
on
per
beds
bed.
on beds.
Beds on beds and beds. It was kind of like that, but it was actually, you would call it a farmhouse because it's basically just one enormous room and then a whole bunch of little bedrooms along the sides of this enormous room.
Oh, that's cool.
All centered by this giant fireplace, which was beautiful.
Ooh, I like that.
And then there's like an upstairs little nook with some awkward stairs, which had a bunch of like lay flat couches and a huge TV in front of it. So it's like, it doesn't get any better
Can't
for
even
that
imagine.
scenario.
That's
it doesn't
amazing.
get any better. It was incredible. And there was a dog that hung out around there. It looked exactly like Simba from Lion King. And it snuck in and it ate all of Kevin. Our friend Kevin is like extremely gluten intolerant, so he travels with all his own food. Ate all of his gluten-free bread.
I thought you were gonna say ate the LSD, and I was like, no.
Oh
dog.
God, no. No. We protect our LSD a lot under lock and key. But then we found that it ate all of his food and some other food and left like this graveyard of wrappers in one little area outside the fence. But anyways, that was an incredible spontaneous adventure that we went on that I will always remember. And I still look up that house on Airbnb every now and then, hoping that it'll go for sale so I can get rich and buy it and go a couple times a year.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, I'm trying to imagine. Was it like a mountainy sort of area, or like a out in farmland?
Out in farmland, but you have to go down this dirt road and really get to it. And just a few large trees around, beautiful pond. I'll actually send you the Airbnb listing so you can get a feel for it. It doesn't do it justice, but it just feels a lot like Northern California. Yeah. Really, really pretty.
That's awesome. And I love those weekend trips. I feel like it was one thing if I think about digital nomad life, what I know of it now versus what I didn't know then was these weekend trips that I never imagined was going to all of these, like the places off the places, like you're staying somewhere for a month and you get to go, like you would never just go be like, oh, I'm going to take this trip, not to Mexico City, but to this random farm 2 hours. I don't know how far you are, an hour outside of Mexico City just to go stay there because you could be on a farm in California. It wouldn't feel that different, but for the weekend trips, like it can be so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just one of those, when we were talking about this bucket things, I immediately started thinking countries. And I was like, no, not necessarily. I mean, the whole point of what we're doing is so that we can spontaneously go to close places as well that we would never go to on a vacation, you know? So
Yeah.
this is
Just
one
like
of those that
making
really
me
has popped up for me.
think of more things as you're saying it. The next one I have on my list, I've talked about this one a lot because it was just such an epic one, was Namibia. So I was in Mauritius for about 5 weeks or so, and I can't remember what the passport, maybe close to 6 weeks, I don't remember. Whatever it was, I had like 3 days left of my visa that I was allowed to stay there. I was with our friend Danielle, and we were like, we didn't want to leave. It was like nice to stay there. We're like, all right, we have to leave this country. It's this island in the middle of the ocean, like off the coast of Africa, kind of between Africa and India, like Mozambique and India. And we had to figure out where to go. So we're like, okay, this is one, I think I actually wrote this in one of our email newsletters recently as a travel tip of, if you're somewhere, you can open up a flight booker. So whether it's Expedia or Google or anything you use probably has it now. And you can just, it's like explore, like I'm here, show me every flight price, like where I could go, because flights were expensive from there. And it was also like not long after, I think it was 2022, 2021, I don't know. 2023, I've lost track of the years, but I don't know. For some reason, flights were really expensive then. And we really wanted to go to Mozambique, but I feel like for whatever reason, the flights didn't, it was like obnoxiously expensive, or I don't remember. We couldn't find a place that had good Wi-Fi or something. So we're just like, we could go to South Africa, but Danielle had been and spent time. We wanted to go there somewhere new. So we just looked at the kind of flight explorer, and Namibia was just the cheapest flight option. I think it was like a $400 flight, leaving 3 days from then. So we're like, all right, Namibia it is. So like, okay, we're going to plan this big road trip. Namibia, we've seen cool things, heard it's a cool country. I don't think I knew anyone personally who had ever been there before at that point. But we booked it, convinced 2 of our friends to fly, one from the States and one from Mexico, to come and join us. Yeah.
It's a good sell.
This is the biggest bucket, but our friend Rachel, she would talk about it, so I know she won't mind. She had just broken up with a boyfriend like several days before, and we're like, Rachel, come with us. Have you ever seen those memes that you're like, your friends from home are saying like, come meet me for dinner Friday, and your travel friends are like, come to Africa on Friday. Yeah. It was like literally that scenario. We're like, Rachel, we're going in 3 days to Namibia, come meet us. She was like, that was the biggest fucking book of all. She was like in Mexico, traveled across the world to come see us. 3 days later. So anyway, we went on this road trip, maybe like a 9-day road trip throughout the country. The whole thing was a fuck it bucket. We're like, okay, I have no idea how to drive through these lands with lions and giraffes. Like, we got stuck in rivers, camped on the roof of our car, like just the wildest trip I can ever imagine. But all because we're just like, fuck it, book it. Like, we're going to Namibia. Here we go. We're going to go on this like, and the comical thing, I remember we ran into, there was one day we were going sandboarding. So instead of like snowboarding on the sand dunes, you like on the sand dunes. And there was this couple who was on their honeymoon in Namibia. I think that they were from England. And she had this travel book, and we were telling her the stories. We're like, yeah, we got stuck in this river. Apparently someone told us you should probably walk through the river first to make sure it's not too deep. And she was like, you didn't know that? Like, every guidebook says to do that. We're like, guidebook? Like, excuse me? Like, we have no idea what we're doing. And she was like, I've been planning this trip for 2 years. I've read like 3 books. I planned everything. And we're like, we have no idea what we're doing. But I love those moments. Like a spontaneous road trip in a country that I have never been, don't know anything about. It's just a surprise. Like there was times we were driving through this place and got really lost. Like Google Maps sent us on a road that was not a road through this national park. And we stumbled upon, like hit the end of a fence where it's like, this is not where humans are meant to be. It's like a padlocked fence where you think you're just in all natural lands. And it's it's owned by the government there. But we ran into these rhino poachers, and they stopped, like we were driving through. It was like this only building in the middle of nothing, in a building that looked real sketch. Literally, we stopped because we did not, like, we had to ask for directions, and you could feel, I was like, this is not right.
Not good.
And we stopped to ask, and they were like, what are you doing here? And we're like, we're lost. And they're like, how did you get here? We're like, I don't know. Like, can you please tell us how to get back? They made Rachel like delete a picture off of her phone. We later asked someone, we're like, what was that? And they're like, those were rhino poachers. So anyway, it was a wild, wild, wild trip, but all because we said, fuck a book it, and easily one of the best decisions I've ever made.
It's probably the most accurate or the most true to spirit fuck it buckets that we've got on the list here because you guys really didn't plan enough. Like,
No,
you were
dangerously
physical.
so.
You were in physical danger. Yeah.
Yes, many a time. Like we're lucky we made it out alive. So something was watching over us. Something had. But yeah, there was so many times where like, how did we get here? We probably shouldn't be here. Like, who let us drive this car here? It was wild, but I feel like that is to me the spirit of digital nomad life, where you can just say. And that one we actually did take time away from work because we couldn't be working like where we were. However, we went, and then I stayed a couple weeks later, like in the main city there, and did work from there. But yeah, it was just one of those where like, this is a once in a lifetime experience, like road tripping through this country, like fuck it, bucket, like let's do it. Get a couple more people to say so too, and it was just so fun.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so I'm gonna go to Costa Rica. I've got 2 trips to Costa Rica, but I want to talk about one of those trips now. And maybe I'll pin the other one for next episode because I feel like we could do a lot of these. Yeah. So the one that I'm talking about here is we were on a month-long trip in Costa Rica, and the accommodations that we booked were subpar. We had those shower heads that heats the water as it comes out, thermal shower heads. And some of the cheaper places have some exposed wire that go to it through water, and you get a little jolt.
That's so bad.
Yeah, it was not great. And the bedrooms were like single ply sheets from like 1983, and one pillow that's like flat and a rock. And so we were kind of on a mission to not be there as much as we could. A lot of fuck it, book it, like just
weekend trips to get away.
Yeah, paying like triple, quadruple rent to go stay somewhere else. So there's one that I went to in Costa Rica. It was in Santa Teresa. I found down the road from us a little bit, and if you go up from the beach, straight up the hill, it shoots straight up.
I just was staying in one of those a couple months ago.
Yeah,
so pretty.
It goes immediately into jungle, right? Which is pretty cool. And the place that I stayed was actually, I think they called it the tree house because there was like a house below, and you actually walk across up this ladder, across this cool looking plank thing that goes up to the very top layer. And it's just a small room, and it's all windows. The whole room is just a window, back, sides, front, and there's nobody on your level with you side to side. Everyone's below you, so the whole thing is yours. You can do whatever you want up there. Had an outdoor shower, which I love. Huge little like patio area, I guess, like a wooden deck type thing. And then in front of you, 4 stools with a bench to work on that overlooked the whole ocean. It was just far enough away you could hear the crash of the Costa Rican waves, and you could see
they're so loud. It's like thunder.
It's really loud there, yeah. And to the right was an outdoor kitchen where I was able to make my coffee. And so I booked this place, and 2 of my other friends had also booked places because they wanted to get away. And I'm like, hey, look at this one. So they all came up to my place, and all 3 of them slept in my bed. And so we were paying like quadruple rent, a place on a place on a place. And we all stayed there, ate some sushi, and drank a few beers, and watched some movies, and it was great. It's just like a really, really special, spontaneous kind of, let's just do it. It's way too expensive, but I still look at that booking listing occasionally and want to go back. We were talking about going back to Costa Rica before this podcast, and part of that draw is to make it back to that place as a special place for me in time. Yeah, it's just beautiful. And it's everything I want in a house, it's just all windows, everything's open, exposed, outdoor, kitchen. It's just, feels good.
I love it. That's a good one.
This might be like the nostalgia episode.
I know, that's what I'm hearing. I wonder if you've gone, I was just thinking when you said that, I was like, are you going to go back to these places and be disappointed? You know that quote that says you can never walk in the same river twice because the rivers change and you've changed? It's getting cool on you now.
Yeah, I know the concept. I haven't heard the quote. I know the concept, but I don't think it will. It's been 5 years. And like even one of my most special places in Bruges in Belgium, that's the bar that I go to. This will be my 4th time going there every 3 years. And each one of the previous 3 years, I show somebody new this place, and it doesn't lose any of its specialness. I think if you go too often and do anything too often, loses it. But if you intentionally build a time gap in between to keep it fresh and new, I think it can still be special. And it's been 5 years now. So
Love it. Santa Teresa has changed a lot, so I'll be curious what you think
yeah,
of it.
but this particular place
The
is
place
like,
up on the hill. Yeah, the hills are
I don't
still...
care what Santa Teresa is doing if I go up to that place because it's just mine, you know.
Yeah, that's how it was when we stayed up top there, and I was like, I'm not going down the hill. Like, I'm just
I don't need to
staying
go.
here,
There's
staying in this house.
There's
I'm
nothing
looking
for
at
me
this
down
view.
there. There's nothing
No.
for me down there. No.
There's
Just bring me
not, except
food.
surfing. Surfing, food, stay in your house. Otherwise, like the view.
Just bring me food.
Hang out with the monkeys.
Oh
I love
yeah,
it.
right. The howler monkeys up there were great.
So good. All right, the next one on mine was Singapore. I don't know if I've talked about this one. Yeah,
No,
Singapore.
No. That's
So
interesting.
I was staying in Bali, and the visa that I got is 30 days at a time, but you can either like send your passport in to extend your visa for another 30 days and pay, and so you get 60 days in total. Or you can fly somewhere else, and even if you flew back the same day, you basically restart your visa for another 30 days. So this was like one of the most spur of the moment things because I had permission. You have to like get permission going into the country. It might have changed by now. This was back in 2018 or so. So I could have kept it, but I had met this guy and at a coffee shop. We went on this. It was like a first date, like I don't know, maybe a day later. We like went out. We like met in person. It was so cute. And then we both had to, for whatever reason, we both had to extend our visas. And I had a couple friends who were like, I think we might fly to Singapore to extend our visa. And was like, this is again, fuck a bucket, like 2 days from then. I think it was a Tuesday. We're going to go on a Thursday. And I think independently before I had said anything, he was like, I'm thinking about going to Singapore. I need to go in the next couple of days because I need to renew my visa. And I was like, I'm going to Singapore to renew my visa. I feel like I hadn't booked it yet. Anyway, I just met this guy and we're like, let's go. Like, let's go to Singapore on Thursday. We're doing it.
Sure.
So we're like, fuck it, book it. So we went home that night, booked a flight to Singapore 2 days later, flew to Singapore. It was like 24 hours there and experiencing it was such a culture shock to go from like beach bum town to like the most modern city with like the craziest, Singapore is a bizarre place. It's like very clean. There's cool buildings. It's like modern skyscrapers. I was just like, I want to go back to like Bali Beachland. It was so overwhelming,
Doesn't
but
seem
it's
like
just
your jam at the least bit.
not for me. People love Singapore and it's cool. Like I was glad to spend 24 hours there. I could do 48 hours. Like that's enough for me. Other people are like, I want to spend a month there. I want to go live there for 6 months. But it was just like it's like a nostalgic, fun experience. I think I was like such a new traveler and I just remember like being with this guy in Singapore being like, how did I end up here? Like, am I allowed to do this? Like, I don't know. It's just such a new concept to me at the time. I don't know. It was I just remembered like such a funny feeling of it that I just felt so free. I was like, here I am living in Bali. I just met this person and I flew to Singapore and I'm here with friends and this person I just met and just being like, I could do like, fuck it, book it. I could just fly to Singapore with someone I met 2 days ago. Like, this is cool. So I know maybe some people listening are like, Marissa, that sounds dangerous, but I don't know. I have a good vibe of people. I feel like I can tell who's a good person really immediately, but it just was such a fun, memorable experience of like the true, all right, fuck it, book it. Like I just went, hey, we're going to Singapore 2 days later, like into a different country. It's like, it's also like fly with someone, you know, it's just like such a funny experience, but it was, so Singapore was one, and I had been planning, I was like on the fence of, should I just renew my visa here? Should I fly somewhere? So it's like, book it, we're going to Singapore. And I'm so glad I did.
Book it. That's one I'd like to put on the, is it particularly expensive in Singapore, right? Like one of the most expensive places you can go?
Yeah. I think it's super expensive for nomads to live there, but it's the airport. I feel like you see a lot of pictures and videos of the Singapore airport on Instagram. Has like all these pretty waterfalls, lots to do there. So it's a good place to fly through and just extend your trip and stay for a night or two, go to like the gardens of the bay, you know, all those things, and then head on out. But it's wild because so close to there, you get like Myanmar, Thailand, Malaysia. It's all like really inexpensive, but Singapore is just this like expensive little bubble. So most people don't stay there long term as nomads.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, what's next on your list?
next on the list is me and you, Bolivia weekend, ATVing through who knows where the fuck for eight hours. How long was that trip? I thought
oh my gosh.
It never ended. we just kept going and going and going up this damn mountain.
8 hours twice for 2 days each.
That was a 2-day thing. I don't think we knew exactly what we're getting into. At least I didn't. I mean, Diego's
no
like,
idea.
We're going to get some ATVs. We're going to go right up this long trail that's supposedly somewhat dangerous. And then we had to wait for one of our friends to decide whether she wanted to come or not, back and forth about 8 or 9 times,
about that.
which delayed us even further and was probably the cause of us getting too late to the campfire. But anyways, I think we maybe got out of there around noon or 1, and we just kept riding on this road. Was actually great. I mean, it was beautiful. We kept going up and up and up, and do you remember it kept getting colder and colder, like very cold as we kept getting higher?
I don't remember that. Not about, but I kind of forgot. I don't think I brought warm clothes. It was cold at night. I remember that.
It was very cold at night. Yeah. And it was so fun because we were riding on the same ATV and we were flying pretty good.
I made Jeff drive me. You were a much better driver than me for ATVs.
I spent so much time on those when I was working mosquito abatement that it's just like motorcycles and ATVs just feel like an extension of my body. I just kind of feel it and flow with it. Really, it's like,
not me.
It's just one of those things
you would turn and I was like, Jeff, you're like, we're on this cliffs where it was like a mile drop off down, and Jeff is just like flying around these corners. But I know you had a good feel for the ATV, but I was like, I feel like I'm gonna fly off. Like I would not be able to drive it that way, but you were very confident on the ATV.
Yeah, it was so fun, but it just kept going and going and going, and we must have rode for 5 or 6 hours or so up into the middle of, it looked like nowhere. We were just aiming at nothing for hours, and we ended up at nothing.
I think we just found a random, we're like, this place looks like a good place to sleep, because I think we'd wanted to get to an actual campsite or somewhere further that Diego knew, but it was getting dark, and so we had to stop and just be like, all right, this looks flat enough to sleep, like we'll stay here tonight.
Yeah, I think we stopped there mostly because we're almost out of daylight.
Yeah,
we had to build a fire before. We had to find wood and then build a fire somewhere random. So people went on a random
find firewood
gathering thing before we ran out of light because we didn't bring any fire. We didn't bring anything. We brought some tents. That was it.
You were saying you were going to do this one. I was like, did we even bring food? I couldn't remember.
We must have brought like canned crap. I don't remember eating.
No idea.
Much.
We did have tents. I don't know where we got tents from. We would rent them with the ATVs.
I don't know who carried them. I don't know where they came from.
No recollection.
Yeah. I mean, it was haphazard. It was probably a little bit dangerous.
A lot.
And it actually is dangerous because our friend Quinn did it like the week or the month afterwards and launched an ATV off the cliff. And that was the end of that
He
trip
jumped off and his ATV went down. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the end of that trip forever.
It was an actually dangerous one, but it was so spur of the moment. So cool. Like the videos of it are so cool, so amazing, so fun, so pretty. I was like, I don't know. We didn't see people for 2 days. I was like, where? A lot of llamas. A lot of llamas running around.
A lot of llamas, yeah. Do you remember how dusty you were when you got back? Like layers and layers of
just
my God.
Full on. It looks like you're wearing like a face mask of clay.
Yeah. I think I still have dust on me from that. It's just in places I didn't even know I could get dust. It's amazing.
So dusty, but so memorable, so fun.
Yeah.
I feel like Diego was riding, I think he was on a motorcycle. You guys are adventurous drivers.
Yeah, he might have been on it. I thought he was on a quad, but maybe he was on a
quad.
bike.
He switched. I think a couple people did motorcycles, and then he switched one day just because someone got tired and needed a break. But it was, very spontaneous, very just, I don't even know if we booked it. I guess we booked the ATVs. I was like, what did we book? We just went, fuck it, let's go.
I think it was just, fuck it, let's get the ATVs booked. And then we just figured it out after that. Like, all right, we'll just bring some tents or get some tents in the backyard. Fine.
It was a wild one.
But I remember when we got back, everybody was so dead exhausted that I think everybody just like went to bed at 3 p.m. Nobody moved.
Gotta go to sleep. See you tomorrow. Yeah. We'll hopefully we can find some pictures from that one. It was fun. But if you're not already on our email list, go to beachcommute.com/email. When we do podcasts like this, we often send out pictures of where we've been, what we're doing, also remote job listings if you want to say fuck it and book it and have the freedom to go where you want as well. Make sure to hop on our email list there. Anything else with Bolivia before I move on to my next one?
No, let's go. Okay,
this next one is going to be a bunch of countries all wrapped in one, where this was like, I kept saying, fuck it, book it. This is a continuously like, all right, fuck it, book it. So the first part starts, I was in Portugal, I think for 3 weeks nomading, and a friend of mine who I'd met actually in Thailand like a few years prior reached out to me and she said, like, do you want to go to Croatia with me? And I didn't have any plans after Portugal. I didn't know when I was leaving. So I said, fuck it, book it. Yes, I will join you in Croatia. I'd never been. So flew to Croatia to meet her. And if you've ever looked at a map of Croatia, so we flew into one part of it, and to get to like the southern part, or like, yeah, lower part, you have to actually drive through Bosnia, because it's like the country is sort of split up. So you have to drive through Bosnia around to a different part to get to another part of Croatia. So our plan was just simply to drive from one part of Croatia to the other. And we got to Bosnia, and I think Slovenia was really close. Neither of us, I had never been to Bosnia. I had never been to Slovenia. So my friend was like, do you want to just drive to Slovenia tonight? And I was like, okay, fuck it. Like, let's go. So we booked it, stayed there for a night. And then it just kept going. So there was a bunch of countries around. She's also like a very spontaneous traveler as well. We had traveled all around Asia together as well. So we travel really well together, and like we knew, I don't know, we like had this sort of style together already. So we're leaving Slovenia. She was like, what if we just drive to Serbia? Like, never been to, I was like, all right, fuck it. Let's stay in Serbia tomorrow night. So we just kept going. I don't remember. We stayed a couple nights in each location, but we ended up going to, so it was Croatia, Bosnia, Slovenia, Serbia, Kosovo, Macedonia, Albania, Montenegro, and then finally circled back to Croatia, where we were originally meant to go. So it was one of those, just like every day we're just like, should we just keep going? Like we had zero intentions of going to any of those other countries. So it was one of those things where just like, we're really close. Do you want to go? It's like, fuck it. Like, let's go. It was just a memorable road trip of just some like bizarre countries that I probably would never, go stay for a month or anything like that. I wouldn't go to Kosovo for a month, or although some of them, like Albania, we have a lot of friends who go there. Montenegro, we were just saying, like, our friend Jim is going there soon for a little bit, but some really beautiful places. And I still, like, one of my personal, this might be not for everyone, but my personal favorite way to explore countries is just to get in the car and drive to places like with no destination, just to get on a road trip and be like, let's just see where we end up, find some cool places. And you end up in these little towns off, not in the tourist hotspots, off the beaten path, or maybe to like 7 countries you didn't even intend on going to. And you just kind of see real life and the farmlands. And it's my favorite way to explore any country, any place, I just think there's something really special to get, like, the freedom of just getting in a car and you're not locked by a taxi or a train schedule or a plane flight you have to catch. It's just like, where are these wheels going to take me? Like, I don't have a fucking clue, but I just can't wait. So that was one where we just kept saying, fuck it, book it, fuck it, let's go. And we just kept on going, and it was really fun.
Was that the one where you broke down in Serbia at one point?
Yeah, we got a flat tire. I can't remember why. We were in like the middle of nowhere, Serbia, and just like 2 girls. And I think we were trying to find this lake and Google Maps took us down this road that was not a road. There was no lake. I don't know why it said there was. And we're going down this gravel road, like with nothing around. I don't think we had any cell service, and we just got a flat tire. I don't know what from. Like, we didn't like do anything wrong. And I remember I just like flagged down this guy on the side of the road to help us. And then we had to like, using Google Translate to speak to these men to help me find a tire place to change the, like it was a process. But it's just, I think back to travel life and I don't know, I think I had a lot of confidence before I started traveling, to be fair. But when I think now of like when you've been in the middle of Serbia and you have a flat tire and you don't speak the language and you don't even know where you're sleeping that night, it's just, the confidence it gives you to figure out anything in life is unparalleled. Like, you can put me anywhere. I mean, I hope I don't have to, but it just, whether it's travel or just any, something else in your life, a hard situation, you're just like, all right, I'll figure it out. I figured out harder things. Like, I got this. So it builds such resilience. I really think travel builds so much resilience.
I do too. I think those moments are always the best when I reflect on them. They're always usually anchored in some sort of like bonding over survival or some event that happened, or
it's so true.
It's not just the place. It's like an event that happens and the people that are part of that event.
It's the things that go wrong for sure.
That build
that's why that resilience, the bonding, the memories.
Exactly.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, so
All right,
last one,
what's
I
next?
guess.
One
right?
last one. I got to choose one. You go first.
One
And
last
choose my
one.
list.
Yeah, my last one was I've got enough for a second list. I'm just gonna pick one at random.
Yeah.
My last one was Prague. Prague was back in, what was that, 2022. My group was in Brasov on their way to Italy, Brasov, Romania, which is also a fuck it, book it type of thing because we
Yeah.
had to get out of Schengen because our clock was running because we were coming back to Italy. So for those of you who don't know, most of us only get a rolling 90 days to be in the Schengen area, which is now almost all of Europe and Eastern Europe at this point. It's just gobbling up
Yeah,
everything.
more countries keep at it, yeah.
Doesn't matter which country you go into, it's still part of Schengen. You only get 3 months out of every 90 or 180 days that you look back on. So you have to leave for a while if you're going to go to another place that's within that 180 days. So we went to Romania, and then I was having health problems. I had a hernia. I had a infected tooth. I had pulled my, Achilles, and I couldn't run anymore. And so I just did this fuck it, book it, took a week off, and I was like, I'm going to go back to Prague. So I hadn't been there since maybe like 2004, 2005. And it was just all on my own, just like you were talking about, just kind of figure it out as you go type of thing. And I did, and just kind of explored and walked and just found what I found. Went on some Airbnb, what do they call the activities? Airbnb activities. Another thing that you go into.
Experiences. Airbnb experiences.
Yes. Booked a whole bunch of Airbnb experiences with people, some fun like local tours, absinthe tours, and all that kind of stuff. And it's great. Those moments are the ones when you're traveling where you just feel empowered and strong to do and be able to figure out on your own. And I do feel like you really get in touch with yourself when you get a chance to just be alone and do your own thing. And it was totally random. I was just like, I need to go somewhere for a week. Where I'm going to go? Prague. I'm going to go do Prague. And it was amazing. And I look back on it fondly, even if I was going through some shit, which is kind of the theme here. Is like, all right, more. How do you work through this when you're in an amazing place? That's it. What do we get? 10? We've got many more. We're gonna have to bookmark some of this stuff.
I think I have last one. Do you want me to do one last one?
Oh, sure, yeah.
To get
do
to
one
10?
last one. Oh, that brings us to 10.
We'll do,
please.
5. One last one, and then that's 10 total. So my last one on here was Nepal. So I was in Sri Lanka. I feel like a lot of my fuck it, book it moments are with our friend Danielle. She I feel like she's a spontaneous traveler, always wanted to go somewhere new. And I had done a fuck it, book it to get to Sri Lanka to begin with because she was going. And I was like, you know what? I was in Mexico, I think. And I was like, I'll have plans after this. I always want to go to Sri Lanka. It's one of her favorite places. So I was like, I will come and meet you. So I went to Sri Lanka, and then partway, like maybe 9 days into it, she was like, Marissa, I've been thinking I'd really like to go trek in Nepal. And I was like, Danielle, just got to Sri Lanka. Like, I love it here. I think we were supposed to go to Japan, and we had a couple weeks in between. So I think we stayed 3 or 4 weeks in Sri Lanka. And then I was on the fence. I loved Sri Lanka. I didn't want to leave. This is one where I was like, fuck it, let me stay here forever. But it was one of those moments where I was like, how often am I going to get to go to Nepal with like one of my best friends to go? She like knew someone who this is like she was one of the ones who I did Namibia with. She had a friend who had gone trekking and like had a guide. And that's when a lot of people plan Nepal, like really spend some time planning like where you're gonna go and preparing to do your trek and all of that. And we didn't even know what trail we were going on. I just said, all right, fuck it, book it. Rachel was with us too. The three of us tend to do a lot of like fuck it, book it's together. So the three of us ended up in Nepal, booked it. Like I didn't know where we're going, what we were doing. I was just along for the ride. And Nepal was a hard country for all of us. We kind of had a lot of shit going on, I feel like. So it wasn't necessarily, it's one of those you look back and it's like funny because everything was hard, kind of the same Serbia moment. We were hiking like 20 plus miles a day. I think I had strained my calves running on the beach in Sri Lanka. So it was like hard for me to walk. Normally you go because it's the most epic mountain views you'll ever see. And it was so foggy. It was like some weird pollution, like smog, that you couldn't see a mountain. Like for 5 days we were hiking, and like the last day we left, we're like, oh, this is why people come. You can look at these beautiful snow-capped mountains. But it was just kind of like everything that could go wrong kind of went wrong. It was when my grandmother passed away at the end. I had to fly home to California. Like she was kind of sick the whole time. Like it was just a little bit of a mess, but It was one where I said, fuck it, book it. It was a hard trip, but
Yeah.
I guess you can see
Rachel
they're not
damn near
always.
died, didn't she?
Oh,
She was
yeah,
a
I forgot.
mess.
Rachel got, we think it was from a chicken sandwich, like chicken that was undercooked, where we were it took like an hour and a half to get our food, at the point where I went up and
no.
asked. I was like, are you cooking our food? And I think they brought it out too fast because they were trying to like get us food after waiting forever. Her chicken, I believe, was undercooked. And that later
Could
that
she tell
night,
it was undercooked? Like,
she says, looking back, she was like, I probably shouldn't have eaten it. It like seemed sketch, but we were so hungry. We'd been waiting so long. This is when we think about medical care. We went back. We were staying in this. We were only in this one town, I think, for one night. So we're staying in these hotel rooms. And I don't remember. I think she texted me. I was in a different room. Danielle had gone off to like a yoga class or something. And she was like, Marissa, can you, I forget, she asked me something. And I came to the room and she couldn't even get up to the door. And I was like, Rachel, are you, like, I somehow got in. She was or I think I texted her back and she didn't respond. She had said she was sick, and I went into her room and she was like deathly ill. We had to find a doctor who came to the room, gave her all these injections. I don't even remember what they gave her, but it's a time where like Rachel, Rachel, she was like not scared of anything. I've never seen her so scared of just like being so, like she was in so much pain and her body was like so just, not in a good place. But they gave her the medicine. Took her a few days, but she was a champ. She went hiking, still like halfway recovering from that.
Of course she did.
So, yeah, we were a mess. All of us.
She
were
hates hiking,
a mess.
so she runs through them to get them done with.
Yeah, she does. She would run through like Rachel. But yeah, that was one where it was unplanned, just rolling with the punches. To the point where we ran into someone on the trek that we were doing, and they were like, "Oh, are you doing the ABC trek?" And we were like, "The what?" They were like, "You're on it." We were like, "We're what?" Like we didn't know where it was the on.
Cool.
It was like what we were called. Yeah. So very last minute, we definitely said, "Fuck it, book it. We're going to Nepal." When it, so they don't always turn out perfectly. Most of those moments are the ones where you're like, "Fuck yes, that was amazing," and some of them you're like, "Well, that was hard. Maybe I should have stayed in Sri Lanka." I'm glad I went. You look back, and I'm glad I got to Nepal. Glad I saw it, but it was a hard one. So anyway, that was like a fun, random, spur of the moment, very unplanned, and but still fun with those two. It's always fun when you have good people you're with.
This is a good one. This was fun. We went an hour on this, and we could do another hour.
I know. I
I'll
had
have to
like
write this one down.
another 10 more just ready to go. And I could probably do 100 more of these. So let us know if you like this. Maybe at some point we'll do another round of them. Can we put like a poll, more of these, or write us in? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll put it on the Spotify poll. Make sure you vote, people.
Do let us
And
know.
I'll put this on the LinkedIn newsletter too. We'll get a poll in there. We'll get polls everywhere.
Polls everywhere. But
Polls everywhere.
I really do think this speaks to the spirit of nomad life. And again, you don't have to, if you're listening to this and you're like, that sounds exhausting, you don't have to travel in this way. Like Jeff, we were just saying, Jeff has been in Puerto Escondido in Mexico for 4 months. How long have you been there now?
Since January, so like
How much? 4 months?
a little while, yeah. About
3-4 months, something like that. So you can also stay put and stay chill and stay in a place. I was in Costa Rica for a few months. I've been back in the States. So sometimes we chill and we take it easy. You could choose. But if you are hearing this and it sounds appealing and you want the freedom to, a fully remote job is the fastest way to get you there, to get the freedom to just roam this planet, book these flights as you'd like. So do hop on our email list, beachcommute.com/email, if you want remote job alerts sent to you each day from companies that actually let you work from anywhere, not just remote from home. If you liked this episode, or if you gotten value from our podcast in general, if you want to give a 5-star, subscribe, thumbs up, all the things, it really helps the podcast grow. It helps more people find it so we can keep sharing more travel stories and tips and jobs with you. Anything else we forgot, Jeff?
I don't think that's it. We'll see you next week then.